All right, welcome.
So professional when he says action. See what a difference it made? Look at the difference. Look at our guest. I'm not even going to look because I know he's more excited because of professional show business.
Yes, we just heard action, and welcome everybody to Stand-Up Memories. Another episode, our third season. We're rolling along. I'm Peter Bales, and this is none other than Jackie, known far and wide, the joke man, Martling, and what a special guest we have this week.
I'm not really a guest. I'm a co-host.
No, I know. Our guest is sitting right there. And his name is
I'm not looking because I want to be surprised.
You know who's there. His name is Chris Monty, and he's one of the funniest comedians, bar none, anywhere.
Stop.
No, he is.
He said that, you know, he not only says that about every guest, he said that about Rory Rosegarden, and he's a manager.
We had Rory Rosegarden on here, and I introduced him as one of the funniest comedians because it's really, I'm a robot, and I'm on automatic pilot. Seriously, though, this is Chris Monty, and I go back to the beginning with Chris Monty.
Very beginning.
I knew, in fact, Chris is a regular guy from Long Island. Comedians come from Long Island. Long Island is a breeding ground for comedians. Me, Jackie.
Now, you met
Chris.
him in the circuit or at the clubs. I was on the Stern Show, but I ran into you at the old homestead in Oyster Bay. At that point, were you already a working comedian or just starting?
I was just starting, and Larry was the bartender at the old homestead. I was Larry Eisner, and I was, at the time, Mark Lund and I had teamed up to become Monty and Lund. And
is that how you started as a
No, I
two-man
started
act?
solo. Mark started solo, and then we decided, let's try and be a team a year later, just to try and do something different and bring back old school. And then that's when we started hanging out, because we had met Larry in Peter's class. Larry Eisner took Peter's class.
Now, let's explain.
Oh, that's okay.
This is a plug for Stand-Up University, a comedy school that I run with Rich Walker here on Long Island. And Chris, we take credit for Chris Monty. In fact, when I first met Chris,
You weren't just hanging at the club,
he took the class.
I took the class.
He
I actually
took the
saw the
class.
ad in Newsday, I think.
Oh, wow.
This is how long? This is back in the late
No
90s,
wonder
1998.
you never shut up about. All he talks about is how great you are, and I know you're funny and really good. And
Well,
we've
I
worked
really
together.
didn't need them,
but
but
he
it's
he really leans on it.
I do. I'm a big fan of Chris Monty. I knew Chris Monty when his last name, and let's give credit to your family, was a Montroni, Chris Montroni.
He
Still
might
is.
not want that out.
That's okay.
He's proud of that. He's proud of his family, and Monty
He's
is
Italian.
Would
you be proud of that?
No, it's good to drive away our audience with comments like that.
But Monty with a Y.
My father, my grandfather, came from Italy, and when he got his citizenship, his name was Montrone, Montrone, and when he got his papers, they spelled his name wrong. And here's an immigrant, barely speaks English, just got to this country, and he went back and said, "That's not my name." And they said, "Well, go get a lawyer and change it." And so he just kept it. He goes, "I guess I'm Montrone now. What do I want?" That was it.
Whatever they hear, that's what went down.
That's it. And meanwhile, his brothers were all the right way, when they came over. So my father and my family from my grandfather were the only ones with a Y.
That's a classic joke. Hans Schmidt's Chinese Laundry. Do you know that?
No, tell it.
And the guy can't believe it's Hans Schmidt's Chinese Laundry. And he walks in. There's a little Chinese guy behind the counter. He says, "Hans Schmidt's Chinese Laundry? Who's Hans Schmidt?" He says, "Well, how'd you get a name like Hans Schmidt?" He said, "I was in line at coming into America, and the guy in front, they say, 'What's your name?' He said, 'Hans Schmidt.' And they say to me, 'What your name?' And I say, 'Same thing.'" I only said that because what are the odds you're going to get a lead into that stupid joke? But whatever they want.
That's a great joke. So how come now your family is Italian, and your father and your mom were both supporters of you when you started out.
Yeah.
But I think of your father, and I think of you talking about tomato plants. Why is that? Well,
that was my father had the tomato plant garden growing up. So that was,
Every
I used to do
Italian
bits
guy
of
I know.
everybody. He used to put squirrel traps in the backyard, my dad, because the squirrels eat the tomatoes, right? So now I have my own house, and now I know how to keep them away without traps.
But he grew the tomatoes and canned them, did the whole nine.
Yeah, he made sauce, he made salads, everything. So, but he used to put the traps out there, and so we were like, Dad, what are you doing? He's like, the damn squirrels are eating my tomatoes.
These traps, you catch them and let them go, or
Right.
the mouse traps that chop them in half.
Catch him and let him go, or what my dad would do when he gets pissed off. One time he left the squirrel in the trap, and now a week goes by. I said, Dad, he's still in the trap. And my dad was like, yeah, I'm sending a message to the other squirrel.
I caught a squirrel. One came in the house, and I caught him in one of those traps.
Yeah.
And I went to go take him and drop him off somewhere, and he wasn't in the trap. The thing bent up just a tiny bit, like it was
in your
this
car
big,
now?
and it got out.
In your car or before?
No, in the stupid trap. They got out under the.
Oh, yeah, they have they're like mice. They can bend their bodies.
It's crazy.
And you've driven all the way to West Virginia, and you realized the raccoon was gone. What a wasted drive.
Well, I had an uncle that used to take them and drive them like to a few towns away because we didn't want to kill them.
Right.
And then keep catching them. And I would say to him, "How do you know you're not catching the same squirrel every week and driving them off?" You know what he did? He goes, "No, I spray paint the tails." So he knew if that squirrel came back, he would spray paint it a certain color.
So you know now at your house that you don't have to use traps to keep the squirrels
No,
away?
you just put peppermint spray and human hair around by the
Human hair.
garden,
It's-
and they
it's
smell
a-
it that the humans there. and they
Those
don't come
crazy not stories, those old wives' remedies, they all work.
They
It's
work.
amazing. It's
They
amazing.
work. We got heat cups. You take the a spoonful of peanut butter and then drink a half a glass of water, and the hiccups go away.
Oh, that's interesting.
What
does that
I've
have to
never
do
seen a
with tomato
squirrel with the
plant?
hiccup.
That's because I always have peanut butter on
It
here.
works.
Now, you know a joke. Isn't there a joke about driving somebody far away and then they're back? A dog. Is it a dog?
No,
What-
no,
The joke is the woman. They don't know whether she has Alzheimer's or AIDS. You know that.
That's the dirty version.
Come on. I got to hear this now. You guys you're the joke guys. Come on. You know that
Tell
joke.
them that joke, but clean it up the slightest bit.
Yeah, so this is the clean version of it. The doctor comes out of the thing. He says, "What's wrong with my wife, doc?" To the husband, and the doc goes, "Well, we don't know. She either has Alzheimer's or she has AIDS." And he goes, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" He says, "Well, drive her far away and leave her there. And if she comes home, don't have sex with her." But when you tell it a little dirtier
Yeah,
way.
you do.
know.
You do. But that's a funny joke.
Yeah.
Now, what's
And my joke is a clean joke, which is so funny because a guy in Florida told me this joke 10 years ago. And I hate saying the F curse. To me, that sounds dirtier than saying the word. And F bombs. Like, no, I hate it. But every other word in this joke, he said the F bomb. And he got done with the joke, and I'm like, "You idiot! That's a great joke. There is no need." He was probably nervous telling the joke.
Yeah.
The guy has a girlfriend. She has a small apartment, so she has a small couch and a cat. And the cat's always on the couch. In the middle of this small couch is a cat. And he comes over. It's the only place to sit. And if he wants to sit down, he's got to get the cat out of the way and chew the cat. And after a certain amount of time, he hates the cat. He's so annoyed. So he goes there, and she's not there. He takes the cat, drives 5 miles, lets the cat out of the car. He's back to the apartment, and the cat's on the couch. Okay. So it's really annoying. A couple of days later, she's not there. He takes the cat and drives the cat 20 miles and lets it out of the car. He's back to the apartment, and the cat's on the couch. He's like pretty annoyed. So he takes the cat next time she's not there, drives 100 miles, goes over a river, goes into a city, goes left 30 blocks, right 30 blocks, opens up the window and throws the cat out the window and zooms back. An hour and a half later, he calls the apartment. His girlfriend answers. He says, "Is the cat there?" She says, "Yeah, he's on the couch." He says, "Put him on the phone, I'm lost." Which is such
That's a great joke. You don't need any four-letter words in that
You don't
joke.
need a 4-letter word in there.
I knew there was a joke there. I knew it. I felt it. So what's it like working in a comedy team? You started single, then you went double.
It's the same pay, and you got to split it now.
That's right.
Unless you're a draw and you're a name and you're a headline act and you get in the door. But Mark and I, we started. I remember.
Had you played around back and forth?
Yeah, we actually went back to Peter and he helped us
Yes,
write jokes.
we
We went back to the Stand-Up University.
But it wasn't like you stood around in a bar and threw things back and forth and say, "Wait, this could work."
Yeah, we did. And when we were talking with you would give us some ideas and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, you got me my first writing job. You got me with Joan Rivers. Remember that? He was at the bar, and Mark and I were sitting there, and he said, Joan Rivers is looking for comedians. She had the radio show on WOR a few nights a week.
Yeah.
It had just come through that she needed writers.
Yeah, and he says, he goes, listen, call this number tomorrow. Tell him Jackie gave it a number. And we called, and I did a couple episodes with Joan Rivers, and it was on the fly writing, like he would do, right? When you started, you would always do that. And Joan Rivers would be talking, and all of a sudden, you'd think of something, you'd hand it to her, and boom, she'd say it, and she used a couple of my jokes the first time, and it was like, I think you got $50 an hour, and you're there 2 hours sitting with Joan Rivers. It was a great gig, you know?
And she was great.
And she was great.
I remember, and I just met you guys, but I liked you.
Just met us, yeah.
I liked you.
That's when Jackie used to, have a couple of beers, and I remember. No, I remember because we used to go there. Mark and I would, we were no, stranger to the bar.
Yeah, that was like Wednesday nights. We used to go, and
And I remember meeting you at the Friars Club one night. And so I'm at the Friars Club after that. This is like a year or two later. And I see him. And I go, Jackie, I don't know if you remember me. I used to hang out. And he goes, yeah, I know you. You hung out in the bar in Oyster Bay. I said, yeah. I go, and you got me a job with Joan Rivers. And he goes, I did? And I go, yeah, for writing on the radio. He goes, you owe me.
Now, that sounds like a true story.
Yeah, that's a true story.
It's so funny. I hope I didn't tell us. But we working in Fort Lauderdale, and it was always the thing with the city comedians versus Long Island comedians, but not just that. It was always people would have the ass for prop comics, ventriloquists,
Guitar
acts, but notwithstanding, the props, the legendary wig, the whole thing. And there was a two-man act called Mac and Jamie a million years ago. And they actually went on to do really with a hate. They had one of the first like four-wall comedy shows or something. And Nelson, they had to follow Bob Nelson. And Nelson's up there destroying the place, but he's, he's juggling handkerchiefs and,
Right.
He's
doing a football routine
doing
and all
his
that
goofy stuff, but he's destroying the place. And they're like, this is such crap. I mean, he's up there with gimmicks and gadgets. That's such crap, man. This is childish. And finally, I don't know if I dragged him into the bar. I said, you guys, what is wrong with you? If a comic's on stage, what is the best possible prop he could have? Another human being, and you two morons are up there, and you have the best prop in the world. I was in a two-man act. Me and my partner played music and told jokes for 10 years, and if I'm bombing, I just turn my head, and then everybody's head turns in.
Right.
It's a no-brainer.
And when we used to do it, when Mark and I were in it, some of our best moments on stage, because we only did it for about a year, 2 years maybe, and then we were both like, you know what, I didn't want to do it anymore because wasn't creatively satisfying me.
Yeah, plus one of the guys was Mark Lund.
Yeah. But some of the moments when we had something where I would improv and something happened naturally, and he started laughing and I broke him up, and Joe Starr had said this to me. He goes, nothing's funnier for a crowd than to watch somebody watching somebody laugh. And he goes, when you were breaking Mark up, you're getting applause breaks because they're laughing with you and they're laughing that he's laughing, So, and those were some of the hottest moments.
Magical stuff, Tim Conway and
Harvey Korman.
Just great.
Absolutely. But by Jackie's standards, I would say Mark was looking at you a lot more than you were looking at him.
Now, I don't think that's right.
Mark Lund went on to become a club owner, a comedy
You shouldn't
club owner.
talk like that of the dead, should you?
Well, but I'm sure it was a good experience.
It was a great experience.
Mark Lund?
Yeah.
No.
He just left
I
the
guess
clubs.
those rumors are exaggerated.
I believe they are very
look at
exaggerated.
Bale's blood.
Look at him.
No, I don't know how to react to this.
he's
First of
messing
all,
with you and you're taking
he's
the
messing
bait.
with me, and I'm taking the bait. Mark Lund is
He's alive and well.
You don't know that. We've been sitting here for an hour.
But a childhood friend of
Yeah,
Chris.
we grew up
And
together.
They grew up together. They're like buddies.
Then he knows better than we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why are you suggesting that, one of Chris's best friends of his lifetime is dead?
I didn't say he was dead.
Okay.
He said a rumor.
It was a rumor.
It was a rumor.
No, he's alive and well. And doing well.
So you're crying, and it's so funny because I had my knee replaced and I go for physical therapy, and it's hard and it's so much work, but now it's fixed enough that I drive to gigs, And I keep telling people, you know, how you doing? I wouldn't even call it a career. I'm driving 3 times as far for 1/3 the money, you know. But like last week, I drove all the way to just outside of Atlantic City, but I always come back the same night.
Yeah, I
I
don't do
drive
that
there
anymore.
and then come back, and then I went to a club not far on the other side of the George Washington Bridge, and coming back, you're sitting there for 2 hours
yeah.
nowadays. And then just the other day, Thursday, I had a gig in Boston, and it was 5 hours, did the show, turned around and came back. And when I wake up, I don't know if I'm sore from physical therapy or from sitting.
From the car. It's
I'm
from
old,
sitting in
man.
the
I'm a
car.
lot older than you. I'm sitting in that car and pulling to a service plaza to get a cup of coffee. It takes me 10 minutes to get out of the car.
Yeah, and your back is all twisted.
Oh my
and yeah,
God.
Yeah,
So-
it's
and
terrible.
you just said,
I always take the room for 2 reasons now. Because I hate to drive, but the main reason is because I have a wife and 2 little kids at home. So I take the room if they offer it because I don't sleep at home. I can sleep in the hotel.
Yeah,
Well, let
got
me
it.
just say this. I'm very lucky. I don't have that many gigs, and my back is fine.
He's very limber.
I am very limber, in good shape, never bothered.
but you drive to Myrtle Beach?
So I do. I was just at the Comedy Cabana. You do the Comedy Cabana, right?
Yeah, they haven't used me in a couple of years. She's always screaming. Christine's always screaming at me, oh, we got to bring you when it's all right to have somebody that's dirty. I'm like,
You're not dirty.
I'm not any dirtier than anybody else anymore. You know.
So-
No,
I
mean,
like those. I like those people.
Yeah, they're great. I was just there. I drive because if I
Every
fly,
time I go down there, that freaking MC guy.
He's
doing-
retired.
is
Cooter.
He's not retarded. He's just slow.
Retired.
Oh, well, he's both.
people need to understand the difference between
But-
dirty and gross. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I will say both.
That was
but,
a joke.
But every time I
only
went down there,
serious.
he would do like, 3 or 5 of my jokes that, and I'm like, tell him when I'm not here, but he knows
Right.
damn well, and they're not my jokes, but they're the ones I,
Right, they're
did.
right.
He retired?
He you know what happened? And I'm talking to, if he's watching, good friend, shout out to Cooter. He came to see me, Cooter Douglas. He came to see me when I was there. But some altercation with some drunk guy that got physical with him on stage. And he's like, you know what? I'm 70. I don't need to get, since this Chris Rock thing, people are taking the liberty to, come and take pokes at us and
I'm
swings and throw
older
stuff.
than Cooter.
You're older than 70?
Somebody has to shoot me.
Here's-
I always got a kick out of him, but that club was.
I love Cooter.
We all know Vince D'Antona, the late Vince D'Antona.
Legend.
Legendary Vince D'Antona. Was a terrific ventriloquist and just as funny on stage as he was off stage. And he asked me one time, are you working this Saturday? And I go, no, I have a family event. We're going out to celebrate my son's birthday. And he goes, yeah, I couldn't get a booking either.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was my favorite line. That was my favorite line with him. One time I used to do, Rich Walker and I used to do the White Post Farms.
Yes.
So White Post Farms has a fall festival. And Rich called me and he goes, years ago, and he goes, they're looking for a guy to run karaoke for kids. You'd be working like from 11 in the morning to like 5 o'clock at night, Saturdays and Sundays. It's good money, it's a few $100 for the day. And, then you can go do your gig at night if you need the money. And I said, yeah, I need the money, So that goes well. And then all of a sudden they said, we need another act. So Rich says, let me call Vince D'Antona. He'd be great for the kids. So Rich calls, Vince D'Antona was a ventriloquist. George was his dummy, right?
That's right.
So Richie calls Vince and he goes, Vince, I got this gig. You're going to do about 6 shows throughout the day and it's great. And it's $300. So Vince goes, $300 a show and I'm doing 6 shows? He goes, no. You're doing 6 shows for $300 for the day. And then Rich goes, Vince, are you there? And he goes, hold on. George is laughing.
Hey, all right, listen. Sorry.
Oh, it's the bad
man.
knee.
Oh!
Is that the bad knee?
No.
This has been so much fun.
All right, we got, to be continued, more Vince D'Antona, because I got to tell him the story, even though we did it a million times on the show, and I know a lot of you people have memorized every show.
So Jackie's got a story for next week. Chris Monty is back.
I'm coming back and I'm going to wear the same stuff.
I am Peter Bales, Jackie Martling, Chris Monty. More stand-up memories next week. See you next time.
that was a pretty good episode.
A new episode every Wednesday with me, Peter Bales, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, comedians, interesting people. Leave a comment. We'll get what am I saying?
I don't know.
We're gonna get back to you. We will respond to your comment.
StandUpMemories.com, if you go there, it shows all the different
All
platforms.
Spotify, we're on everything.
Every Wednesday.
Stand Up Memories,
Every Wednesday.
a new episode.